If you think getting your green card was the hard part, 2026 is about to prove you wrong. Congress has quietly approved new rules that change how long you can stay outside the U.S., how often you must give biometrics, how your taxes are checked, and even how quickly you can be put into removal. One missed letter, one extra long trip, one ignored tax year, and you could be risking the status you spent years fighting for. The rules just changed, and what Congress has approved could reshape daily life for millions of green card holders across the United States. If you already have a green card, if you're waiting for one, or if someone you love is in the middle of the process, what I'm about to share may be the difference between protecting your status and unintentionally risking everything you've worked so hard for. These are not rumors. These are not internet stories meant to scare you. These are real policy changes that are moving forward, some already active, others rolling out very soon. And I want you to hear them calmly, clearly, and truthfully, without panic, without confusion, and without misinformation. And thank you for trusting me with your daily U.S. immigration updates. I know how stressful immigration news can feel. Every update sounds huge. Every change feels personal. And many people are worried right now, wondering if they're doing something wrong without even realizing it. In this video, I want to walk with you step by step. I'll explain what Congress approved, who may be affected, when these rules could apply, and most importantly, what you should and should not do. Remember, these changes do not affect everyone in the same way, and your situation may be completely safe. My goal is not to scare you. My goal is to help you stay informed, prepared, and confident, so you're never caught off guard. Take a deep breath, listen carefully, and stay with me until the end, because I'll also share practical steps you can take to stay compliant and protect your future in the United States. You're not alone in this journey. Many families, students, workers, and long-term residents are feeling the same uncertainty right now. We're going to go through it together, calmly and clearly. Before we break down the specific rules, let's look at the bigger picture in simple language. Congress says these updates were designed for three main reasons: to tighten immigration enforcement, to reduce fraud and identity misuse, and to make sure permanent residents are genuinely building their lives inside the United States. In other words, the government wants more oversight and stronger proof that green card holders are following the rules that come with permanent residence. Some of this may sound reasonable. Some of it will feel strict, and for many people, honestly, a little scary. Advocacy groups, lawyers, and community organizations are already watching closely and challenging some of these changes. But the reality right now is this: green card holders are facing more review, more responsibility, and more accountability than before. That does not mean everyone will lose status. It does not mean you can't live your normal life, care for family, travel, work, study, or plan for citizenship. What it does mean is that awareness matters more than ever. In the past, some people got a green card and then stopped thinking about immigration rules for years. Today, that approach is risky. Immigration is becoming more active, more connected to other government systems, and more focused on your long-term behavior, not just the day you were approved. Staying informed is not about fear. It's about protection. It's about making thoughtful decisions. It's about catching small mistakes before they become big problems. If something feels confusing or uncertain, remember, you are not doing this alone. We'll talk through what changed, who may be affected, and how to move forward with patience, calmness, and confidence. One of the biggest changes for green card holders involves time spent inside the United States. For years, many people believed, as long as I don't stay outside for more than 6 months at a time, I'm safe. Under the new approach, that's no longer how officers think. Immigration officers are now looking at your overall pattern of travel, not just each individual trip. You're now expected to spend at least 6 months out of every 12-month period physically inside the U.S. Over a rolling 3-year period, if your total time outside the United States adds up to more than 18 months, officers may start questioning whether you still intend to be a permanent resident here. For many people, this is a big shift. A lot of immigrants travel frequently to care for aging parents, manage businesses overseas, or handle serious family responsibilities. That reality is understood, but it also means you must plan travel more carefully than before. This doesn't mean travel is forbidden. It means long or repeated absences can create concerns much faster than people expect. If you must be away from the U.S. for an extended period, plan in advance. Keep records of every trip: tickets, boarding passes, passport stamps, hotel receipts, and entry-exit records. If you know you'll be gone a long time, apply for a re-entry permit before you leave. This tells the government you still intend to live in the U.S., but have a temporary need to be abroad. Remember, you must apply while you are still inside the United States. If travel is part of your life, be thoughtful, organized, and intentional. Don't assume the system will automatically understand your reasons. Show your connection to the U.S., maintain your ties here, and avoid unnecessary risk. Another major update involves biometrics: fingerprints, photos, and signatures. In the past, most green card holders only gave biometrics when renewing their physical card every 10 years, or when applying for something new, like citizenship. Under the new system, biometrics will be updated more regularly, roughly every 5 years, even if your physical card is not expiring. The government says this keeps identity records accurate, helps prevent identity theft or misuse, and confirms the person holding the green card is the same person in their database. The process itself will feel familiar. You get a notice, go to an application support center, get your fingerprints and photo taken, and you're done. What is different, and very important, is that ignoring or missing these appointments can now create serious problems. If you never update your address, don't open your mail, or simply forget about the appointment, the system may treat it as failure to comply. And failure to comply can put your permanent resident status at risk. So, always update your address with USCIS within 10 days of moving. Read your mail carefully. If you can't attend the appointment, reschedule as soon as possible. Life happens. People get sick, travel for work, or face emergencies. USCIS usually allows rescheduling with a valid reason. The point isn't punishment. It's to keep records up to date. Think of biometrics as maintenance, like renewing a driver's license. Stay organized, show up when asked, and in most cases, you'll be fine. Another quiet but powerful change is continuous security and criminal background monitoring. Many green card holders used to assume that background checks only mattered when they first got the green card, or later when applying for citizenship. Today, law enforcement databases, court records, and immigration systems are far more connected. That means if a green card holder is arrested, charged, or convicted of certain offenses, Immigration authorities may learn about it automatically, even if that person never files another immigration application. The goal, according to officials, is to ensure permanent residents continue to meet the standards required to live here long-term. For people who follow the law, everyday life doesn't change. But for anyone who ends up in legal trouble, even something they consider small, the immigration consequences can be much more serious than they realize. Offenses that can cause big problems include DUI, DWI, shoplifting or theft, domestic violence cases, drug possession, and fraud or identity-related charges. Sometimes the danger isn't the incident itself, but the court outcome. A plea deal that looks minor on paper can still be considered serious under immigration law. If anything ever happens, don't ignore it. Don't assume it's minor. Talk not only to a criminal defense lawyer, but also to someone who understands immigration law. If your record is clean, stay calm. Continuous monitoring does not mean constant punishment. It means the system can see more, and awareness helps you avoid stepping into danger. Taxes and immigration are now more connected than many people realize. As a permanent resident, the U.S. generally considers you a tax resident too. That means you are expected to file U.S. tax returns every year, even if you live abroad for part of the year, and even if you earn money outside the United States. Under the new approach, immigration officers are reviewing tax records more often when you renew documents, apply for travel authorizations, or file for citizenship. They may ask for official IRS transcripts, not just copies you printed at home. The message? Permanent residents should be participating in the tax system like any other long-term resident. For some people, this is uncomfortable. Maybe they were told, "You earned very little, you don't need to file." Maybe they lived abroad and assumed U.S. taxes didn't apply. Maybe an accountant handled everything and they never paid attention. Now those gaps can show up. But being behind is not the same as being doomed. The IRS has programs to file missed returns, correct old issues, and set up payment plans if you owe money. Taking action early is almost always better than waiting for immigration to find the problem first. Filing honestly, even with small numbers, shows responsibility and good faith. Keeping copies of tax records gives you proof when needed. Getting your taxes in order protects both your financial health and your immigration future. For many years, the idea of public charge mostly applied to people trying to get a green card, not to people who already had one. Under newer rules, immigration officers may look more closely at certain benefits when you apply for citizenship, or your file is reviewed for another reason. This does not mean everyone who ever got help is suddenly in danger. Life is complicated. People lose jobs, people get sick. Families face emergencies. Sometimes support programs are exactly what keep a family from collapsing. What immigration looks at is the overall picture. Was help temporary and necessary? Or does it look like someone is permanently dependent on benefits? If you are receiving cash aid, certain food programs, or specific long-term medical assistance, don't panic. Document your story. Keep letters explaining why you qualified, employment records showing job searches or work history, and medical records if health problems were involved. Not all benefits are treated the same way. Temporary, well-documented help is very different from permanent dependency with no effort to work or stabilize. Honesty, context, and awareness matter far more than fear. Congress has also widened some areas where immigration officers must look more closely at potential deportation grounds. These often involve claiming to be a U.S. citizen when you are not, registering to vote or voting when you're not eligible, or connections to organizations the government views as dangerous, even if you didn't fully understand that at the time. These rules can be strict, and sometimes they leave very little room for error. That's why it's crucial to slow down and read forms carefully. Many problems happen because people move quickly, trust the wrong person's advice, or assume a checkbox is harmless. The safest approach, if a form asks, "Are you a U.S. citizen?" tell the truth every single time. If someone tells you to register to vote, verify your eligibility first. If you're unsure about an organization you donate to or support, research it before signing or contributing. Most permanent residents who live responsibly and think carefully before they sign things will never encounter these problems. The goal here isn't to terrify you. It's to prevent accidental mistakes that can have big consequences. Many green card holders eventually apply for U.S. citizenship. For years, most people thought of the naturalization process as a civics test, some English questions, and a brief interview. Now, officers are paying closer attention to your entire history as a permanent resident. They may look at travel history, employment and tax records, use of certain benefits, and any past arrests, charges, or inconsistencies. The civics and English tests are still very manageable. Thousands pass every year. But preparation matters more than ever. Studying gradually for the civics test, practicing English in everyday situations, and bringing documents that support your story, tax transcripts, travel notes, marriage employment records, can all help. If your case is complicated, talk to someone knowledgeable before filing the N-400. Officers are not trying to trick you. They want honesty, consistency, and proof that you're ready for the responsibilities of citizenship. If you don't remember something perfectly, it's okay to say, "I'm not sure," instead of guessing. Guessing can create confusion. The goal of naturalization is not to fail you. It's to be sure that each new citizen understands and qualifies. With preparation, patience, and honesty, most people still succeed. Another change that sounds frightening but needs careful understanding is expedited removal for certain serious cases. In rare situations, especially involving national security or major crimes, the government can now move faster to try to remove a permanent resident. This does not apply to everyday issues like traffic tickets or small misunderstandings. It focuses on people the government sees as potential threats. Most permanent residents who live peacefully, avoid crime, and stay away from dangerous activity will never be near this process. The real lesson here is that choices matter. Avoid illegal activity. Stay away from people pushing you into risky things. Be mindful about what you sign or support. If someone ever is accused of something serious, ignoring it is the worst option. Getting legal help early, especially from someone who understands both criminal and immigration law, can make a big difference. For the overwhelming majority, the message is, be thoughtful, be careful, and keep building your life in a stable, respectful way. Many long-term travelers rely on re-entry permits when they need to stay abroad for a long time. A re-entry permit has always been a way of saying, "I still live in the U.S. I still intend to return, but I need extra time abroad." Under the new approach, these permits are becoming more limited. You may now be restricted to one re-entry permit within a 5-year period instead of renewing them over and over. For people whose lives involve frequent, long absences, this is a big shift. This means You need to think hard about whether an extended trip is truly necessary, if someone else can handle matters overseas, and whether you can shorten or rearrange your time abroad. A green card represents a commitment to building your life primarily inside the United States. Long, repeated absences can make the government doubt that. If you do get a re-entry permit, use it wisely. Come back as planned. Maintain ties here: housing, bank accounts, bills, family. Avoid creating a pattern that looks like your real home is somewhere else. This isn't about punishment. It's a push toward making sure permanent residence actually looks permanent. Another behind-the-scenes change is increased communication between immigration records and Social Security records. In simple terms, the government wants to be sure that people who are allowed to work are working under their real identity and that their work history lines up with their immigration status. That means USCIS and the Social Security Administration may compare records more often. If someone is working under the table, using another person's Social Security number, or being paid in cash with no reporting, those issues can eventually surface. And they won't just be tax problems. They can also look like fraud to immigration. For honest workers with proper documentation, this should not create fear. If your employer withholds taxes, uses your correct Social Security number, and your documents match, this cross-checking simply builds a clean history. If you know something in your past doesn't match, like an employer once used the wrong number, or you worked informally when you first arrived, ignoring it is not the solution. Correcting records earlier is much easier than explaining contradictions later. The goal is alignment, not traps. When your records are consistent, it actually protects you when you apply for benefits of citizenship. With all these changes, it's normal to think, am I doing everything right? Most people can stay compliant by being organized, careful, and proactive. Treat your immigration status like you treat your health or your car. Keep a simple log of your travel. Save tax records, USCIS notices, and important letters. Update your address with USCIS within 10 days whenever you move. Open mail right away, and don't ignore appointments. And ask questions early if something is unclear. Don't guess. Another huge protection is honesty, even when it's uncomfortable. If you realize you missed taxes, stayed abroad too long, or marked something wrong on a form, the worst path is hiding it. Correcting mistakes and explaining what happened often matters more than the mistake itself. Also remember, building real roots here matters. Working legally, paying bills, having a home, being part of your community, caring for family, these all show intention. They tell the story of someone genuinely living here as a permanent resident. When officers review a case, they're not just looking for problems. They're looking at your whole life here. A lot of questions naturally come up with changes like these, and many people worry about the same things. Do these rules affect every single green card holder? Not in the same way. Some people will barely notice changes because they already live and travel within the expected patterns. Others, especially frequent travelers, people using certain benefits, or those with complicated histories, may feel the impact more. Could these rules be changed or challenged? Yes. In the U.S., laws and policies are constantly being interpreted by courts, debated by Congress, and adjusted by agencies. Some parts may soften or change over time. But until that happens officially, it's safest to follow what's in effect now. What if I made mistakes before these changes? In most cases, the past is not an automatic disaster. What matters now is how you respond. Fix what you can. Document what happened. Show you're trying to comply going forward. Immigration usually looks for patterns. Are you consistently careless, or are you trying to do better? Can I lose my green card, even if I didn't mean to do anything wrong? Sometimes, yes, through missed appointments, ignored notices, or misunderstood requirements. That's why paying attention, staying organized, and acting early is so important. The more aware you are, the safer you are. Immigration worries are heavy. Many immigrants live with quiet fear. Fear of doing something wrong, fear of losing status, fear that one mistake could erase years of sacrifice. When new rules appear, those fears can grow. If you feel anxious listening to this, that's human. You've worked hard. You left behind places and people you love. You started over in a new country. When the laws move, it can feel like the ground under your feet is moving too. But staying informed is not meant to scare you. It gives you power. It helps you see clearly instead of imagining the worst. Most green card holders who live carefully, pay attention to their responsibilities, and stay honest will continue moving forward safely. You also do not have to do this alone. Community groups, legal aid clinics, trusted attorneys, and reliable information channels exist to help people just like you. Asking for help is not weakness. It's wisdom. Small, consistent steps, filing taxes, attending appointments, keeping records, gradually build a strong foundation. Over time, those habits reduce your stress because you know you are doing your part. Immigration journeys are rarely straight lines. There are delays, confusion, and sometimes setbacks. But every rule you learn and every careful choice you make is part of protecting the life you're building here. As we close, remember this. Immigration policies may change, but your effort, your story, and your dreams still matter. The rules Congress just approved may feel tough, but they are also reminders to stay organized, to stay honest, and to stay connected to your real life in the United States. You do not need to panic. You do not need to make drastic moves overnight. What you need is clarity, steady attention, and the confidence that comes from following correct information. If something you heard today applies to you, take it one step at a time. Review your travel. Check your mail. Make sure your taxes are filed. Keep documents safe. And ask questions when something feels complicated instead of guessing.